What's up guys, I'm BTC. Get ready to head on over to the Outback. Today I'm introducing you to the brand new support hero concept, the tough as nails survivalist, Durgby. There was such an overwhelmingly positive response to my previous hero concept video of Ares the Omnic Tank that I have begun working on many more hero concepts. Today we're talking about Noah Durgby, a survivalist and medic from Junkertown. For my hero concepts, I go much farther than just a name and some basic ideas for abilities. Instead, I go fully into detail on all the stats and design of the character. My goal is to create a character that would be seamlessly added into Overwatch. Of course, every hero requires testing, but I believe that all the numbers and stats in this video are an extremely strong starting point. Special thanks to X-SEIDE-T for helping me with this video and providing some of the artwork. I'll put a link in the description to his content so you can go and check it out. If you have any questions about this hero, leave them in the comment section below. I'll be picking the best ones and answering them in a follow-up video. And lastly, if you enjoy this video, please make sure you like and share it because it helps a lot. There are a few different methods of creating a new character. The one I used to create Durgby was to start with a story and then find abilities that match the concept. For this specifically, I asked the question, what would a support hero and healer from Junkertown look like? While the people of Junkertown may lack in modern technology, they make up for it with resilience and ingenuity. The goals I had for this character were to create a healer from Junkertown using primarily low-tech equipment and salvage, that in order for the character to heal, it must require aim, and lastly, that the character must provide more backline survivability. In the aftermath of the Omnic Crisis, governments throughout the world set aside sections of land to be used by Omnics. One of those locations was the Australian Outback. The intent of this gift was to bring peace between the humans and Omnics, but in this region it had the opposite effect. Many humans were displaced and forcibly removed. The land that had been their longtime homes was given to the very Omnics that had caused massive destruction of their country in recent years. Noah Durgby was among them. A survivalist by nature, he had also been a medic prior to and during the Omnic Crisis. He had seen firsthand the destruction and carnage wrought by the Omnics, and now the government he had fought for had taken his home away and given it to the enemy. When the call went out to rise up and retake their homes, Durgby answered without hesitation. A violent rebellion began and the Australian Liberation Front was created. The humans of that area were extraordinarily tough and resilient. The rebels attacked the nearby Omnics repeatedly, destroying valuable infrastructure and resources. The final attack came when the rebels were able to enter the Omnium itself and sabotage its fusion core. The explosion destroyed the building, wiped out most of the Omnics, scattered metal and debris, and worst of all, irradiated the land. The Omnium was no more, and the rebels had won, but the price was high. The home they had fought for was now a wasteland. Calling themselves Junkers, they began to resettle the area, but life was more difficult than it had ever been before, with many suffering from the lingering radiation. While modern tech was limited, the debris from the Omnium provided vast quantities of scrap and salvage. Some of the Junkers who were brave enough, or sometimes mad enough, would scour the region for anything of value. Durgby, who had always been a bit of a loner, found a sense of serenity in the solitude that came with trekking through this wasted land. On occasion, that serenity would be interrupted by hostile and often desperate rival scavengers. On one such occasion, Durgby had just shown several would-be thieves the error of their ways, and was about to set up camp for the night when he noticed one of his Hogdradin canisters had been hit by a stray round. These canisters were invaluable as the chemical mixture contained within is capable of counteracting the effects of radiation in the wasteland. The pressurized contents were now spraying out forcefully and applying a coat of the stuff to anything nearby. One of those things was the Outback slime, a thick algae-like plant mass that had begun to grow exponentially after the fusion core explosion. Some types of algae are edible, while others are extremely toxic. This slime that was growing in the Outback was of the toxic variety. Very likely, the massive dose of radiation wasn't helping with that. As Durgby grumbled at the loss of one of these canisters, he noticed that the anti-radiation properties of the chemical mixture was having an extreme rapid interaction with the irradiated Outback slime. Having extensive knowledge of biotics from his prior experience as a medic, Durgby quickly realized that the chemical mixture seemed to be fundamentally changing the slime. He scooped up as much as he could carry and brought it back to Junkertown where he could run some tests. Upon experimentation, Durgby found that when the slime was combined with the hydrogen chemical mixture, it would create a new substance that functioned nearly identical to modern biotics. He assembled a machine capable of dispensing small amounts of the bioslime for use of those in Junkertown, and then set out back into the irradiated wasteland. Having a newfound purpose, Durgby seeks to perfect the bioslime and discover what other uses it may have. The bioslime that Durgby uses is not quite as effective as modern biotics. However, because one of the principal components of the bioslime is the hydrogen chemical mixture, there are some lingering benefits that the biotics don't have. Durgby's primary weapon is the Slime Flinger. It launches globs of gooey bioslime towards friends and foes alike. The type of the attack is an arc projectile. The damage is 50 times 2 seconds for a total of 100 damage over time. The heal is 65 instantly. Rate of fire is 1 per 0.7 seconds. Total ammo is 12. Reload time is 1.5 seconds. And a bonus effect for teammates is that they gain 10% damage resistance for 2 seconds after being hit. The arc projectile is the same thing as what Torbjorn has on his primary fire for the rivets, and as far as the damage over time, 100 seems like it's a lot, but it's over 2 seconds. If you hit an enemy multiple times, it does not stack. Instead, it simply refreshes it. In comparison to other supports, this is fairly low damage. He heals a little bit less than Ana and Moira, but the trade-off is that you can provide your teammates with that little extra buffer in the form of the damage resist for a very short time. Durgby's first ability is the Outback Snack. In addition to the healing properties of the bioslime, he found that it was also quite nutritious. However, he's the only one that eats it because everyone else thinks it's disgusting. This is a self-only ability that will heal Durgby for 40 per second for 2 seconds, a total of 80 healing over time. The cooldown is 8 seconds, duration is 2 seconds, and the additional effect is that Durgby gains 10% resist for those 2 seconds of duration. The total healing for this isn't all that amazing. The extra bonus resist does make it a little bit better. I essentially wanted to have an ability that Durgby could quickly use that would increase his overall survivability. Also, I thought this was kind of funny because a lot of those survival shows, you see them eating really disgusting things, and I thought Durgby's gotta have something like that. One of the goals for this character was to increase backline survivability, not just for Durgby, but for his teammates as well, and that's why I created the Auto Healer. This is kind of a mix of Torbjorn's turret and Moira's biotic orb. The type of the ability is an arc projectile. This is when you just throw the machine out. This is similar to Torbjorn's turret where he lobs it out in front of him. The distance is the same, it's 15 meters, so it doesn't go very far. The cooldown is 8 seconds, which may seem short, but keep in mind that the cooldown does not begin until the machine is fully destroyed, and that can happen in a couple of different ways, and I'll get to that in a second. The type of targeting the auto healer uses is no limit tether, meaning it can attach to any number of teammates. The heal is 40 healing per second to everyone that it's tethered to. The range is 6 meters. The resource total is 400. The health of the machine itself is 250. The build time after you deploy it is 1.5 seconds. The duration is until empty or destroyed. Durgby can use the interact button to self-destruct the auto healer. Little more explanation, the no limit tether where it can heal everyone for 40 healing per second might seem like a lot, but the biotic orb does the same thing except it heals for 75 per second. So it's almost half of what that can do. So in exchange, the resource meter is a little higher, it's 400 instead of the biotic orb's 300, but also the orb cannot be destroyed and this machine can. Because it heals instead of dealing damage, I made it build a little bit faster than Torbjorn's turret, but I gave it the same amount of health because I felt that 250 was a pretty good amount where the enemy can destroy it if they want to, but it takes a little bit more than just 1 or 2 hits. The basic idea of this ability is you stick it in a corner, and if anybody in the backline starts to get attacked or they take damage, they can just run over to it and quickly heal up. Additionally, if your healers get taken out, you still have something on the field that will provide at least a little bit of healing until it runs out. The cooldown is very important. I didn't want it to start taking damage or to run low on healing, and then have Durgby just throw out a new one right away. I wanted you to have a little bit of downtime, and that's why the cooldown does not start until the machine is fully destroyed. And that happens when it runs out of resources, it's destroyed by the enemy, or Durgby uses the interact to just self-destruct it. So there will be a little bit of downtime. However, if it's in between a fight and you see that the machine has taken damage or that it's low on resources, then you just quickly self-destruct it and you move it to wherever new place that you need to have it at. In addition to the Bioslime, Durgby keeps a ready supply of untreated irradiated Outback slime. This can be used as a weapon in the form of the Venom spray. This type of attack is a beam, damage is 20, range is 12 meters, cooldown is 10 seconds, the debuff is disarmed and minus 20% movement speed, and the duration for that debuff is 3 seconds. Little further explanation, the type of attack is called a beam. This is what Zarya, Symmetra, and Mei have. It can be blocked by barriers, but it goes right through defense matrix and deflect. And that was a very important decision that I made so that it works against people that are trying to dive in the backline against Durgby. The damage is very low, it's only 20, the range is short, and the cooldown is kind of high, and that's because this is the only thing that he has, but it's pretty powerful whenever you hit an enemy with it. So the debuff is disarmed. The best way to explain this is that it locks out whatever your primary attack is. For most characters, this is going to be your left click. For some characters like Torbjorn and Roadhog, it's going to be left and right click. And then for some characters like Moira, it's going to be only the right click. In addition to that, it also has the minus 20% move penalty. This isn't all that much. It's just enough that allows Durgby or whoever else to escape from whoever is affected by the Venom spray. It's not going to stop them dead in their tracks or anything. It's just to give Durgby that little bit of extra room that he needs. Durgby has no mobility, he has low damage, so the thing that he has to rely on is that high survivability and being able to outplay the enemy. Now, when you get dived on in the backline by, let's say, a Winston who's trying to go after your Zenyatta, you can hit the Winston with the Venom spray and it will disarm him and slow him down a little bit. That will allow your Zenyatta to get a little bit of space. Now, just because Winston is disarmed doesn't mean he can't do anything. He can still use everything that isn't his primary attack. He can still quick melee, he can drop the barrier, he can leap away. The enemy player still has the vast majority of control over his character. He just can't use primary. It's kind of like a reverse hack, essentially. Durgby's ultimate is Pure Slime. A new refinement process allows Durgby to create extremely potent concentrated amounts of Bioslime in a nearly pure form. The type of this ability is Targeted Hit Scan. It provides a heal of 200 healing per second to the targeted teammate, with an additional healing area of effect of 100 healing per second to all teammates within 8 meters. The duration is 6 seconds. The range that it can be used at is 40 meters. The charge requirement is 1900. The primary target gains an additional effect of 20 damage resist for the duration. Let's run through this. The targeted hit scan is the same thing as an Ana Nano Boost or the Zarya Bubble. You look at your teammate, you press the button, and it goes right to them. The main use of this ultimate is to keep one teammate alive through most any damage. Even if they get hit with a Bionade, they still have that extra 20% damage resist, which will help a little bit. The area of effect healing comes from the fact that the Pure Slime is supposed to be so powerful and so potent that it kind of radiates healing in all directions. So it's going to be less than what the primary target is going to get, but it should still be a nice little thing for your team. However, it's not going to keep you alive through things like a Hanzo Dragon ult. In that case, only the main target would end up surviving that. As far as the charge requirement, it's a little bit higher than Ana and a little bit lower than Zenyatta, and that's because Zenyatta heals for 300 per second, and this is obviously a lot less. I spent a great deal of time trying to figure out the exact numbers and stats for all of Durgby's abilities, if Blizzard ever did end up adding him to the game, I'm sure it would require a lot of testing and some of the numbers would end up changing. But as I said before, I think they're in a really good starting point. I use an Excel sheet with all of the characters, their abilities, cooldowns, damage, all that sort of stuff. And whenever I'm making a new ability, I use kind of a give and take philosophy. So if I give something to the ability, or if I make it a little bit better in one way, then I have to take something else away. So if I increase the damage, then I also have to increase the cooldown, or at least lower the range, or something like that. So everything needs to be balanced, and I think I do a fairly good job of that. I am going to be making a follow-up video to this where I'll show you some of the behind the scenes and the process that I use in order to make these characters. I'm also going to be answering some of your questions, so if there's anything you want to know about Durgby, leave it down in the comment section below, and I'll pick a bunch of the best questions and I'll respond to them in my follow-up video. And once again, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure you like it and share it. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. Also, come hang out in my Discord server and my Twitch live stream. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to see what kind of cool VIP rewards you can get, check the links down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.